Welcome to the 2021 Australian Fitness and Recreation Industry Technology Summit, and I'm JT. This is a brand new offering that we want to add to greater value the event for all of you, and it's our monthly webinar series. And I'm so excited for this year's event on July the 21st and 22nd, as it is going to be even better than our very first event 2 years ago. And it should, because we've had 2 years to plan this thanks to COVID. We now have keynote speakers, we've got panels and a couple of workshops to turn what you learn into actions. This is in addition to networking drinks, a networking morning power walk thanks to the Fitness Business podcast, and our gala evening where 3 businesses will receive the inaugural Technology Awards for the industry. And before we get to the face-to-face event, which is the first confirmed face-to-face event for our industry in Australia, we do have 6 amazing webinars on the last Friday of the month. Next month, our guest is Jonathan Weiner, who in a Q&A with me will share insights from his book on how to shape your marketing based on insights you already have from your data. It'll be an awesome webinar and it won't want to be missed. And you can register for that and or the entire tech summit at the fitnessindustrytechsummit.com.au website. But kicking off our webinar series will be right now, you can see him, Dr. Ted Vickey, the fitness technology disruptologist. I love that, Ted.
JT, I got to come up with something that makes people ask me what I do.
I love disruptologist. And he's also the president and chief executive officer at FitWell. Ted's current enterprise, FitWell, focuses on working with companies ranging from startups to established businesses within the health, fitness, and wellness space, creating strategies for the effective use of technology to improve the lives of their customers. In addition to teaching master-level classes of kinesiology, Ted also led the development of a 100% online Master of Integrative Wellness program and curriculum, where students from around the globe get the opportunity to expand their knowledge on wellness, behavior change, entrepreneurship, and technology. We need all of those post-COVID in our industry, that's for sure. He is called the most connected man in the fitness industry and has 25 years of education and experience that underlines this fact. In addition to earning a PhD from the National University of Ireland, Galway, focusing on disruptive health technologies, social networks, mobile fitness apps, and knowledge discovery and data, he has held positions as diverse as the Executive Director of the White House Athletics Center. Who was in charge when you were there?
Started with the first Bush, and then I came back for Clinton, and I left under George W. Bush.
Wow, what an experience that would have been. And has been a spotter at the British Open for ESPN, ABC, NBC, and Sky Sports. And just hot off the press, you've been at the golf in California as well.
It's about 15 minutes north of downtown San Diego. I just got back. I said, I need to leave. I got some peeps waiting for me in Australia to learn about fitness entrepreneurship and all things tech. JT, well, I think that you said you're the first verified face-to-face in Australia. I think you're the first face-to-face in the world.
Wow.
I don't know of any other fitness face-to-face conference coming up yet. So good on you for that.
Well, even if we only have a small window of being the first, we're going to milk that for all it's got because it's all about marketing.
It is.
Sir, can I hand it over to you because I cannot wait to hear what you've got for us today, talking about technology and how it's going to help our staff, our members, and our clients.
Absolutely. I'm going to share with you some interesting tidbits, some things that I've learned throughout the time that I've been involved in health and fitness. So you should be seeing my title screen.
Yep.
So the first thing that I will suggest is if anyone here wants to follow me on Twitter, that's my main choice when it comes to social media. It is at Ted Vickey, Vickey. And the hashtag FOT is friend of Ted. Hashtag FOT. So if you want to get me on LinkedIn, my address is there too. You can just Google or go on to LinkedIn and find me there. I love connecting with other health and fitness professionals from around the world. JT, as you mentioned, I come to education, to academia later in my career. This is really my third career. The first was being at the White House in that corporate fitness company. The second, my research in Ireland, and now this being as an educator and teaching personal trainers how to use what they've learned in school and through certifications in the business world. We've talked about before, JT. Personal trainers are great at the science of fitness, but when it comes to the business side, a lot of them struggle. And it's not their fault. We've never been taught. My undergraduate degree is in exercise science. I had no business classes. I learned it on my own. So my focus now, as I've changed my career again, is I want to give back to the industry. I'm going to teach people, the fitness industry, how to become fitness entrepreneurs. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. So if you want a copy of this slide deck, happy to give it to you. tedv.link/yes please. tedv.link/yes please. I will send you this slide deck, and there's a couple other questions. I'll send you more because I've just added a new piece to this chat that I'm doing today. As you mentioned, JT, I'm the president of FitWell, professor at 3 different universities here in the States, and as the senior consultant for the American Council on Exercise for Emerging Technology and Innovation. I stay busy. I get to test all sorts of fun things. JT, this is my new one. Have you heard of this? It's called the Hydrate Bottle.
I saw you drinking from that before. What is that?
This is a smart water bottle. Down at the bottom here, there's a ring. It's connected to my Apple Watch. So it knows where I am. It knows the temperature, location. It knows the activity that I've done. And based on all that, it gives me the number of ounces I should drink in a day. So it's when it blinks, it tells me that I'm behind in my water consumption. Now, I had some kidney stone problems a couple of months ago, and they wanted me to double my increase when it came to liquid. Well, water, of course. So this helped out.
So I got a question then.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even sure if we should be Q&Aing. You've got a whole presentation you want to get done. But just a quick one. If I was a personal trainer, can I look in on your app and check on your hydration levels and your water consumption throughout the day with this water bottle?
The answer is yes, but JT, it says that people can't see me. My screen is black.
Oh.
You check on that on your end for me.
I can see you clear as a bell.
Teresa, if you're still there, can you write back, because we are screen sharing.
Yeah.
JT sees me, I see JT and myself. Let me do this, JT. I'm going to stop the screen share. Okay, Teresa, can you see both of us now? Hello, Teresa.
No, she can't see us.
Uh-oh. What
Kind of.
Do you see anything, Teresa?
I can see you clear as a bell.
Anyone else on the call? Can you see us?
Just the speaker name in the lower left-hand corner. I wonder if that's Teresa's Zoom, because I've got you clear.
Jessica, we're looking at you. Jessica, can you see us? Can you see Justin, and can you see me?
Yep. Perfect here. So Jessica is good.
There must be a firewall to New York, because I think that's where Teresa said she was. So Teresa, we'll make sure that we get you a copy of the slide deck so you know exactly what we're talking about. JT, I'm going to go back and share my screen. You should see it now, correct?
Yep, got it. Perfect.
So your question was, can I, as a personal trainer, see my client's water consumption?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, because here's what happens. This through an API is connected to the Apple Health screen, right? So as long as you allow that to happen there, then that data is being collected in the Apple Health. Now, here's one of my pet peeves with our industry. If I have 10 personal training clients and I want to see that number, I've got to log in and out for all 10 of those, right? So I'll talk about this later. The data is in silos. Each person has their own data silo. And in fact, each app that they have is its own data silo. So I'm working on some projects where we're going to be able to have a dashboard where you can log in and see all of this information, all of your client on one screen. I got the idea when I was at Wall Street, and the Wall Street folks have screens, like I have dual monitors here, and it has all the stock ticker signs, right? And they even color code it. Green means it's a good thing, red means sell. So we're creating the same thing, and I'll make sure that you're my guy when it comes down to Australia to talk about it.
I cannot wait for this, because I think what you're going to cover is really what the future of personal training and what gym memberships are going to be.
I think so. JT, you knew this. This just came out last week. Somehow they said I'm the most influential fitness tech person. I don't know how that worked, but hey, it's on the internet. Someone else said it, so it must be true, right, JT?
I love it. Yeah.
There's Jillian Michaels here, so I finally got on top of Jillian Michaels.
Hey, you're three times bigger than Jillian.
Look at that! I don't know how that happened. So I am by education an exercise scientist. I'm by experience an entrepreneur. By passion, I'm a connector. I make the links between different people, different products, different things. So please feel free to connect with me. So I said this last year before COVID, that in 2020, the disruption inside our fitness industry will be from outside the fitness industry. JT, you and I have been in this industry for a long time. When there have been changes in equipment, when there have been changes in what's going on, it's been our industry making those changes. Then Fitbit came around, Apple Watch, right? All of these companies from the outside looking in. So I was a little bit off. It was, well, I guess COVID was outside the industry, so it did disrupt it. So we're going to talk about these 5 things today. Some of the current fitness technology stats, some of my academic research, which might be interesting, because we're talking a little bit about how I use Twitter, how fitness tech can help you as a personal trainer, the science of fitness and technology, and then the fitness tech trends. And I'm going to introduce a new little thing that I'm calling DDPT, data-driven personal training. So hopefully that'll be something that is good for everyone here to learn. So shall we start? JT, this is something that you said, right? So here's my screen from Fitbit, right? So I've taken 12 million steps. This is a couple of years ago. I have the Apple Watch now, right? So what? So I've taken 12 million steps. What does that do for me and my personal trainer, right? So there you see it there. I've walked 5,000 miles. And then here's my sleep, okay? So the night of this, I had a 613. It was a pretty good score. Here's my Apple Health, my blood pressure, my EKG, my exercise minutes, my heart rate, my heart rate variability, right? But then, so what? What do you do with all that data? It's still in those data silos. So in my TED Talk that I gave a couple of years ago, I talked about the importance of this data. This phone here, JT, I don't know how many time zones apart we are, but I can text you and you get it real time, right? And that iPhone is 1,000,000 times more powerful than the computer used to put the man on the moon in 1969. So my question is, if we have that power and we keep it in our pocket, how can we leverage this device to help people live healthier lives? So that's my passion moving forward as we go the next year, the next 5 years. And here's a picture. This is the computer that they used at NASA. Look how big that is. I mean, it's as big as a gymnasium.
That's incredible.
So you brought up the topic of disruption. It's my favorite word, right? And people think disruption is a negative thing. I don't think it is, because disruption merely means to cause something to be unable to continue in the normal way. Now, COVID disrupted us, probably a bad thing. But I think there could be some unintended consequences from COVID. But look at the disruption and look at the improvements there have been. JT, you and I remember this, right? You got your allowance. You went to the mall indoors and you bought an album and you wanted one song, right? What do you do now? You go on iTunes, you download one song that you want. So disruption has happened in the music industry, the telephone industry. You used to pick up the phone and the operator had to connect your call. And if you called, overseas, it cost you $5 a minute. It's pennies now. So disruption has happened in the phone industry. And with banking, I remember the first paycheck I got, I had to go to a teller, sign a check, and the money was there 4 days later. Now, I can take a picture of it with my phone and it's deposited within minutes. So disruption is happening all around. But I don't think disruptions happened to us in the fitness industry until now. If I look at what COVID has done, I think that in 3 months of COVID, we've advanced 3 years when it comes to technology. It happened that fast, and we'll talk about it here in a second. Now, when I talk about fitness technology, this is not what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, JT, this is in San Diego, and yes, those people are taking an escalator 1 floor up to go to the gym. That's not fitness technology, folks. So let's talk a little bit about my research. So in 2010, I started my PhD, and I looked at mobile phones, and there were 5 mobile fitness apps. And I noticed that of these 5 mobile fitness apps, people were tweeting. So they connected their Twitter account and these apps, and they were tweeting data. And this is what it looked like. I just ran 3.2 miles in 35 minutes using Endomondo. That's a lot of data if you think about it. This was when Twitter had 140 characters, and it would have the URL link. But look, I know what activity they did. I know how far they went. I knew their time. I knew what app they used, and I could actually data mine that link. I could find what songs they were listening to, the heart rate, the routes, everything from one tweet of 140 characters. So I said, this is a gold mine, right? So I, in the end, collected 2.8 million tweets from 112,000 users. That's the end number. End numbers of 30 are big in our industry. I had 112,000, 184 days of monitoring. Okay, here's what I found. This is over time. When I saw this, and at the beginning of the months, to me, this looks like a heart rate. It goes up, it comes down, it goes back up. And what we found were those little chunks were weekends. So people would exercise, it hit Thursday, there was a decrease, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it started to go up again. So each one of those peaks is the start of a new week. So because I was able to plot this data, I started to see trends, right? Just seeing those tweets, I didn't know this. So if you can take data and you can extrapolate it and you can put it into some, this is an Excel spreadsheet. You can find out a lot of data. So I found that there were, now we also looked at some of the comments that were there. So of people that were sending the comments, there were 46 S words, 22 craps, 40 dams, 51 F words, 1 bitch, 34 asses, 1 of which was fat. So these are people sharing what they thought about exercise. So not only could I tell what they were doing, I could tell what they thought about it, because right after their exercise, they said that was a damn hard workout, or that was one bitch of a workout. So there were, some of the other words that are positive and negative. We could actually tell if a person was more apt to be happy about the exercise or more apt to be disappointed in the exercise. So again, a lot of data that was there. So I decided to call this disruptive health technology. Okay. It's a wearable device or an app that can collect, store, process, and share a person's health and fitness data. So what is that? It's an app, it's a wearable. Doesn't matter, it's a DHT. And now what I'm doing is studying the different ways that these DHTs can make an impact. So I talked about the hydrate water ball, right? I have another one on my desk here, which is called the Active 5 isometric wearable. It's about the size of a hockey puck. And what you do is with the app, you're doing isometric contractions all over your body. So I've been testing that out too. So hopefully, let's see if it took me on a Zoom there. Let me see if I can bring it back. If not, I'll keep going. So let's look at some of the current stats, shall we? This is the 2021 ACSM fitness trends. Number 1, online training. Number 2, wearable technology. Number 6, virtual training. See any trends there? It's fitness and it's technology, right? Now, think about this, JT. We keep our phones within arm's reach 91% of the time. Take a look at that picture. We do that too, don't we? Look, this morning you probably woke up with your alarm clock going off. It was your phone. You checked your email, you checked your social media, you checked the weather, all from that phone, probably lying from in bed, right? So the average American checks their phone every 12 minutes. You guys down south, you probably, you're a little bit more conscious of that. So maybe it's every 24 minutes. But anyway, we're checking that phone a lot during the day. And there are more people around the world who own a smartphone than own a toothbrush.
Wow.
Think about that. There are some countries that have more phones than they have population, meaning they have 2, 3, 4 different phones. So something's going on here. And when it comes to health, there are people that use fitness apps. There are more of them than there are members of health clubs. Let me say that again because it's real important. There are more users of fitness apps than there are members of all the health clubs around the world. And it's not by a small number. It is exponential. And of those that use the smartphones for health apps, 73% say they feel healthier just because of that app. And JT, I don't know about you, but to me, that's half the battle, right? If a person thinks they're healthier, they're going to believe they're healthier, they're going to do habits that are healthier, and they're going to become healthier. Now, this is an interesting one. People usually have about 25 apps on their phone and only use about 12 of them. I checked the other day, I happen to have something like 132 apps, but that's what I study every day. So I guess I have a little bit of variance to be able to do that. And again, looking at some of the data, this is showing that of the apps, most people spend 77% of their time on just 3 apps. Just 3 apps. So it kind of makes it hard because if you're a fitness app, these numbers are showing you that you've got to have something special for a person to use the app over and over again. So when it comes to wearables, there was a statistic that came out. 52% of people said they'll wear some sort of fitness monitor. 46 smartwatches, 15 smart clothing. JT, this is smart clothing is coming out. It's coming soon. It's happening now. The smart contact lenses. We remember a couple of years ago, Google came out with Google Glass. That kind of went away. I think it's going to come back now, especially since Google has bought Fitbit. There's a whole privacy issue we'll talk about there in a second. But the last one, these health tattoos. A tattoo that is temporary, you put on your arm, and it can measure all sorts of things. So instead of getting a finger prick, you can take things directly from the skin or from sweat. That is something that's quite interesting, in my opinion. So this is important to remember. Every generation will interact with fitness tech, but not all generations will interact the same way. I love talking about my dad. He's 85 years old, JT. Now, how I use my phone, how my dad uses the phone, totally different. So when it comes to a personal trainer, trying to figure out, well, how am I going to communicate with an 85-year-old? Well, he doesn't text, right? Versus my nephew, my dad's grandson, who's 21, who's doing TikTok videos and all these other things, right? So you've got to understand the spectrum. And that's why it's important if you're a personal trainer to find your niche, right? If you say that you're a personal trainer for everybody, guess what? You're going to end up being a personal trainer for nobody because you haven't figured out what it is you want to do. So in 2015, the American Council on Exercise did a survey on technology. 71% of trainers owned a wearable. And we also found that 72% of clients of those trainers asked for insights and feedback on wearables. Think about that. You've got clients asking you as a personal trainer advice on apps and wearables. The number that jumped out to me was 51% felt prepared to answer. So 49% didn't know the answer. Now, some people see this and say, well, it's a lost cause. That's a teachable moment. We can teach people to be prepared when it comes to that. 86% want that single data platform I talked about. 75% want to be able to run fitness challenges through it, simple fitness challenges. You don't need to have these big bells and whistles. It's just a fitness challenge. And 74% of personal trainers and health coaches want to be able to sell devices. Now, here's a key, JT. When you and I first started in the industry, personal training was what? Meeting with the client, figuring out a plan, moving the pin, being the cheerleader in person, right? There was no alternative stream of revenue. Now there is. You can do affiliate programs. You can do those things. So you don't need to be a personal trainer at the gym as your only source of income. We redid the survey in 2020. So we did pre-COVID and post-COVID. And you can see that the fitness trends are starting to impact this. So this is what percentage of your business revenue is from your own personal training business, right? So what we're looking for here is, we know that a lot of trainers work for clubs. Well, look here, look what's happening. The numbers are changing. So before and after. So we all know, we think that about 70% of personal trainers are out of work. So they have to find a way to pay the bills. So finding a way to use technology is going to make a big, big difference, because you can train people virtually. We've proven it. This was interesting. Now, iOS in the US happens to be one of the higher ones. I know that in other countries it's different. But I was once asked, well, I want to personal train to just Apple users. I said, okay, if you do that, just know that you're not going to be able to communicate with some other people, right? So again, I told you to be able to niche. So one way to niche is maybe to say, I only work with Apple phones, I only work with Androids. Don't worry about Blackberries, because there aren't many out there anymore. We asked the most popular wearables and apps. Doesn't surprise us. Apple Watch, Fitbit, Garmin, Polar. They've been around for a while. They're tried and tested and true. The apps, MyFitnessPal, Apple Health, Strava, and Nike. Okay, so Apple Health is interesting. It's really not an app, it's a data repository, right? So then you can create APIs, little clicks to be able to take that data into other apps. I wanted to ask this question because it was important to find out how people were doing. Only 36% of people feel, these are personal trainers, feel as though they have the tools they need to run their business online. That scares me, JT. 81% think that fitness technology is now important after COVID. The writing was on the wall. And I want to have my own fitness business after COVID, 62%. Makes sense. They realize that working for the club chain, which is an absolute great career if you have it, but when they close, you're in trouble. So there's that entrepreneurial spirit that I see coming around. This one was quite shocking to me. Who created your website? 30% of the people created their own website. 46% didn't even have a website. Folks, if you're watching this and you have a website, you call JT, you call me, because you need a website. That's a whole nother thing that we'll talk about. You can talk about that next week, or next time you have this JT on your last Friday, but that's scary. So it kind of goes back to what I said earlier, which was personal trainers are great at the science of training, but when it comes to business, they're a little not that good. This is a prime case of that. So let's talk about some use cases when it comes to DHT. This was quite interesting, JT. This is a friend of mine who works for Fitbit at the time. She was lying in bed on this day, and at 2:30 in the morning, there was an earthquake. So people in San Francisco woke up to this earthquake. How do we know? Because you could look at the data and see at 2:30 in the morning, a lot of people woke up from their sleep. So this stuff is happening out there. Some of us don't even know it's out there, but here's what it was. So you see, she was sleeping at 2:30, boom, she woke up. And they looked at a lot of the data and a lot of different people, the same thing happened. Even with COVID, there are people using Twitter to be able to predict where COVID is going to hit. So there are people tweeting, I feel like I'm getting sick, or keywords with COVID. There's a place, Arizona State University, we're actually tracking the flu. I don't know how they do it in Australia, JT, but here it's called the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, right? So what they do, talk about technology, is when someone tests positive, they fax the report to the government. Imagine that, they fax it to them. So the reason why you don't know, especially in the US, the accurate numbers of COVID real time is because they're faxing information. It's crazy. So what this group of students did was they created a real-time surveillance tracker. And if they compared it to the CDC numbers, which came out two weeks later, and they were spot on. So this is through Twitter. Well, here's how they did it. So they collected the information over Twitter. They cleansed the data. They geotagged it, right? So they knew where people were. They used some models to figure out that, and boom, it showed up on the graph. This may sound complicated, it's really not. So here are some numbers when it comes to California. Number of tweets, the CDC count. So what this also suggests is there are a lot more people out there that probably had COVID that got tested. Here's a study that was run from a friend of mine here, Dr. Eric Topol, where people were actually taking their own temperatures. They were self-reporting if they felt that they had COVID or not, and the app went right to the Apple Health, and they pulled the data. And what they found, JT, was that before COVID hit, there was a change in heart rate. So these are resting heart rates that happen in the morning. There was a change. They also found that there was a change in temperature, right? So if you can monitor temperature and heart rate, you can actually predict when COVID is going to hit, and you can isolate. So there's been a lot of interesting things that are happening when it comes to COVID. I don't know if you have this one, JT, but
Yeah, I do.
my Apple Watch, it tells me when I get home to wash my hands for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I never knew that I did not wash my hands for 20 seconds. That's a long time. My lights turn on when they come home, right? So we use technology. Why don't we use it when it comes to our health? Well, we're going to start using it. Fitbit, Google, that just happened a couple of weeks ago. It finalized it. Some people are a little nervous about that because kind of Google knows everything about us, and now we're going to get our fitness data. Yep, it's going to happen. There are ways that you can opt out of it, but just be aware. And I tell my students, if you're posting something on the internet, I can find it. Anyone can find it. So just be aware of it and don't do anything stupid. But some of these apps and wearables that came up, look, this is a way where they're teaching someone how to do a proper squat virtually. I was working with this company, PewFit, out of Singapore, where they were actually recording a person doing a squat, and it would tell you if they were doing it right or not. So it's one of the things we as personal trainers do, right? We want to make sure that our clients are doing squats or any exercise properly. Now, through AI, they could take a video of themselves, send it. Well, they don't have to send it to the trainer. The app tells them you're too far forward, you're too far back, your knees are in front of your toes. So AI, real time, and the client gets the feedback. This is one from another friend of mine called Mio. This is quite interesting. It's the coaching loop. So it's taking the data, and the coach and the trainer are seeing the data, and they're making changes and suggestions to the person's workout based on the data. So how can technology help? I think there are 4 reasons why a person hires a personal trainer: motivation, accountability, support, expertise. One of those reasons, or multiple reasons, that's why you as a person hire a personal trainer. JT, can I motivate you online? Can I keep you accountable online?
Absolutely.
Can I give you support online?
Yep.
Can I give you my expertise online?
Yep.
So how can we as personal trainers use this information to better our knowledge? We asked, well, we didn't ask, but this was from Global Index in 2018. Now remember, 2018, so these numbers are a little bit old. The problem is that they aren't being updated as fast as I'd like them to be. But wearable owners, look at what they're tracking: steps, calories, body temperature, ECGs, sleep. JT, that's a big one I'm seeing here in the States. A lot of people starting to monitor that sleep, because you and I both know if you're not getting a good night's sleep, it doesn't matter how many push-ups you do the next morning. Something's wrong, you got to figure it out. Even sweat rate people are starting to track. So there's a lot of data that you can pull out as a personal trainer. So the thing that was interesting was that 87% of people are comfortable sharing this data with their doctor. They want people to analyze this. 51% say that because it helps them feel like they're more in control of their health. They're part of the solution because they're giving the data. Now, a lot of people say, well, it's self-reported data. So what? It's better than what we had before, which was just us trying to figure out on our own. And then about half the people think that they think, now it doesn't matter if it's true or not, they think that it helps them manage their fitness and body weight. If you believe it, you'll achieve it, right? So how can technology help? Well, there's a couple of ways. Again, we're looking at obstacles to a healthier life by age range. And this sounds familiar, right? These are all the reasons why, I can't exercise. Cost too much. Don't have enough time. It doesn't keep me accountable. Physical limit, lack of support. Boom, all these reasons. Guess what? With technology, you can address every single one of them. So this slide deck is available. Remember, tedv.link/yes, please. You'll get all these slides. So you have all this data later on. One of the things that I look for, JT, that's important is the science behind fitness tech. And I look for three things. I want the fitness tech, app or wearable. I want it to be habit forming. I want it to be social motivation. And I want it to be goal reinforcement. Let's talk about that social motivation for a second. So when I was doing my research, when you're exercising with somebody, an exercise partner, and you get that endorphin rush of you give the person a high five. Well, I found that a virtual high five, saying, nice job, JT, on your personal best, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever. Even if you're a stranger, guess what? People felt the motivation. They felt that virtual high five. So yeah, it's probably more powerful in person, but it can be effective even if it's a virtual high five. Now, here's some of the things that I'm going to give you some tips. Well, people say, well, people don't wear wearables. They're not going to wear their Fitbit. Okay. But was it designed to be a device to be worn 24/7? I would suggest not, right? You change the different workouts, so why can't you change the device that you're using? This is a chart that I found, and it just shows a decrease. This was 2013, it's a little bit older, but the rate of usage over time. So you see that big drop off. Remember the old joke where if you had a bike at home, it became a very expensive coat rack? Well, people say the same thing when it comes to wearables, but I don't think that's true, because if you take a personal trainer, you add the wearable data, now you're getting actionable items. Now you're getting the possibility of even more client success. Being a data guy, I wanted to show this. So, as a personal trainer, if you have a client that wants to decrease their blood pressure, well, what do? You either give them a pill or you give them to exercise. So I wanted to see how often pills were being taken. 30% of prescriptions were never filled. 30% never filled. 50%, even though when they were filled, didn't take the medication. So I'm suggesting there are people out there saying that Fitbits and wearables don't work and apps don't work. Well, let's compare the opposite. This data would suggest to me that the technology interventions may even be more effective than these. So this is the former Surgeon General in the US here. He said, drugs don't work in patients who don't take them. And I modified it saying fitness doesn't work in those who don't exercise, right? So can we use technology to get a person to exercise? Absolutely. Let's talk about accuracy, right? So you have a body weight scale at home in the bathroom. You go to your physician's office and they weigh you there. And then you go to the gym and they weigh you at the gym, all on the same day. JT, which one is right?
They're all probably right at that particular second that you get on. But well, I'm going to go with the one first thing in the morning.
Well, people say that the one that you weigh the less is the right one.
Right? I thought of that.
Right? Because, and I'm gonna stop for a second to give you a little bit of story. So this happened at the White House. We had a scale that looked like the one in the middle. So high-level politicians. We used this. We had it for years. I walked in the men's room one day and I saw a politician with a penny adjusting this scale. So you know how you adjust it? You change the fulcrum. And I said, "What the hell are you doing?" He said, "I didn't weigh my weight, so I changed it." I said, "How long have you been doing this?" He said, 6 months. So every person that used the scale after this politician didn't have an accurate weight because that guy didn't think he was. So we had to make a policy every month. We had to calibrate the scales. We go in there. We would bring in 200 pounds of the dumbbells and the weights, and we calibrate them. Only politicians, right? I think they're equally as interesting in Australia as they are here in the States.
Yes, sir.
This is one that I found in at CES, at the Russian company. Look what it claims. The only smart band that tracks calorie intake, body hydration, and stress automatically. What do you call it down in Australia? I call it my crap detector. My crap detector was going off when I saw this, right? There's no way that this is going to happen. There was a device, there's a light that emits on the bottom of it. And I will say that I did test it. They gave me one to test. And I purposely drank a Coca-Cola, which we know is going to spike your blood sugar. And I watched it, and it did spike, and it did come down. But I don't know. There's no science on. I don't understand the science of how it works. I still don't believe it. And this is they tell you a little bit how it works. Talk about privacy, big one, right? Especially here in the States, and I know in Australia as well. There's a lot of data that's flowing out there about all of us. I had a conversation today about it on the golf course. There's more information about all of us online than we know about. So we have to be careful. And this is from Gary Vaynerchuk. He says, we cry about privacy, but every day we prove with our actions that we don't care. And it's true. You know, if you have your location service on for example, so your lights come on when you come home from work, well, that means you're being pinged probably every minute or two. And there is somewhere that tracks every location that you've been over that time. If you're okay with that, great. If you're not, well, make sure that you have those privacy settings turned off. JT, this one is from my PhD. This is Edmundo. This was real time. Look what was I could tell the music they were listening to. I could look at their heart rate. I knew when they left their house, and I knew their running route. You know, as humans, we do the same thing over and over and over again. Now, my mom used to tell me, when you leave the house, turn the light on so someone thinks you're home. Right? This app was allowing people to see exactly when they were leaving home, where they were going. So if there's a bad guy out there that wants to do something bad, they had the data.
Didn't they collect that? The US Defense Force collect data off Strava last year on where their soldiers were running?
This one?
Oh yeah, that's the one.
And if you think about it, they didn't the military folks didn't do anything wrong. They just had their watches on and they were running. And what happened was, I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to say the wrong bad people, but the bad people figured out this military base because they could see running maps going around. You can see the colored map right there, right? So people are watching this. There's, President Biden just took office about a week ago, and apparently he's taken a Peloton into the White House. Well, there's some security risks with that if you think about it, right? Because you have a live internet connection. Well, if he has a Peloton in the Oval Office, there's a potential that people could listen to all those conversations. Wow. The video could be turned on, right? So if he takes it in, they're going to have to make some changes and some modifications to it. But these are things that you really don't think about. Hey, if the military got blindsided by it, we as the general citizens can be as well. It also happened with Polar. So it's not just Strava. There was some other company that did it. But I think a lot of the companies figured this piece out. So now you can either opt in or opt out of sharing this data. And the military gives you a specific direction. You don't share this data. Don't share where you are. So who should be interpreting all this fitness data? We've got all this data. Well, 66% of people want a health expert to help them understand their data and then to be able to adjust their behaviors based on it. So they want to give you the data and they want you to make an improvement recommendation based on that. Well, who can do that? Personal trainers and health coaches. In fact, physicians are the other group, right? So you got the fitness day in the middle. You can either go to physician, go to health coach. Look at this. People are willing to pay somebody to interpret their data. And they're willing to pay personal trainers and health coaches 79% of the time. That's even more than physicians. And guess what? We're cheaper than physicians. So there's a whole new business model right here, interpreting fitness data. I could create a business right now. I'd go to every physician I knew and said, I will help your patients when it comes to monitoring their activity. And the physician's office would pay me. And I can almost guarantee it would be a very, very successful business. So there, I just gave you a business idea. Someone out there listening, you can buy me a Starbucks next time I see you. So let's talk about some of the trends, shall we? Virtual health and fitness alternatives will surge. We saw this. Mirror, Tonal, Apple Fitness. It used to be when you went to exercise, you went someplace, you went to the gym. Well, guess what? Now, technology has eliminated those 4 physical walls. You can do exercise anywhere. So that is one thing that's going to change. We talked about Peloton. You know, look at how $4 billion, $4 billion, and they've just been around a short amount of time. And this is one of those examples of coming from outside the fitness industry in, right? Mirror, Lululemon just purchased them. People taking Pilates classes through Skype, through FaceTime. It's happening. And there are courses that will teach you how to do this. One of my big ones, one of the things that I'm really motivated to help people understand is this business model. We as personal trainers for a very, very long time have traded our time for money. You work out for 60 minutes, I as your client pay you $50. That's how we make money. Well, guess what? At some point, you're going to run out of how many hours you can work in a day. And at another point, you're not going to be able to charge anymore because people aren't going to pay it. So there's got to be a different way. The traditional model of time for money isn't sustainable. But with technology, you can disrupt it. There's my favorite word again, JT. You can disrupt it and innovate it to become a new model. And you can do that by using the big data. You can use all this data that's being collected. Here's that example I told you when I got that idea. Look at the stock market, right? He has all the data there. He knows, look at all the stocks he's following. Well, you need to be part of a health club, not a health hub. I said it backwards. You want to be a health hub, not a health club. So look at that data. It's very, very powerful. Here's an example of getting pings. Well, you did your personal best. Little suggestions of be mindful for 10 minutes. Don't forget about tracking your food. You can get those pings. This is Trainerize, one of the programs, software that I really like, because look at what they're doing online. Training programs, client nutrition, progress, engagement, payments, right? If trainers don't even, if 49% of trainers don't even have a website, I can almost guarantee you they're not taking credit cards. And I don't know the last time I've written a check. And I don't carry that much cash around with me. So folks, there are ways that you can do this. This is my favorite because you got that data silos, got all that data in all these silos. Well, here's that dashboard that I've been telling you about. So let's take a look at it real quick. It tells you the steps that the clients have taken. So this is a simple, they download this app, it connects to their Apple Health, and then this data gets pulled over. So I, as the trainer, for this, I have 3 active clients. I've invited 19 of them. Here's the data. You can do it with steps. You can do it with weight. I prefer steps. And then we've actually created a model where you can take the actual data here and then create a program from it. You know, that old adage, 10,000 steps a day. You know, there's no scientific evidence of why you should take 10,000 steps a day. It was a marketing gimmick.
No way.
It came from Japan, and for whatever reason, whatever the word is in Japan, it rhymed. So there's no reason. So let's go back to my dad, 85 years old. If I told him as his trainer that you need to walk 10,000 steps, what would he do? Well, first of all, he might get hurt, right? Because we don't know what his baseline is. Secondly, he might hate it and never come back. That's not what we want to do. So I've created this little program where here's what you do. You do a baseline. So you find out that a person does 3,000 steps a day on average. Great. That's your baseline. What's your goal next week? Increase 10%. Great. What's the goal the following week? Increase 10%. So and that 10% is very, you want it to be 5, 20, whatever. But then you're taking the data, you're finding out where they are, and then you create actionable items based on that data. And that leads into what I've been calling the data-driven personal trainer, DDPT. So you take the data and you design a fitness program based on that data. No more trading time for money. Here's how it works, JT. So the current model of personal training, if you're lucky, you see your client twice a week. I suggest you might see them 4 times a week, right? So you've got 8 touch points. You see them 8 times. Let's take that out of the equation for a moment. So step 1, you're going to collect your data from your clients every day. So there's a touch point every day. Step 2, every month you send them a kickoff email. I don't know about you, but I've had dozens of personal trainers in the past. How many emails I get from them still? None. None of them are following the marketing. I hope you talk about this next month. None of them follow the simple marketing. Keep in contact with them. Yeah. Your best clients are the ones you already have a relationship with. So send a monthly email off. Make it a theme month, whatever you want to do. Then on Mondays, you send them a weekly progress email. Well, guess what? You get the data from what they did this week. So you have the data there. You can create a canned message, you can pull it in, boom, it sends it out. And on Tuesday, you teach them something. So it might be steps. So teach them about steps, teach them the format, teach them whatever. But you create it once, you use it with everybody. And on Wednesdays, you do a check-in. Hey, I want to make sure you're doing all right with your workout. How you doing? Send an email. Let them write back to you. Guess what? Many of them aren't going to even write back to you. But that's another touch point. We're up to 13 touch points. Remember what I said last time? 8, right? Thursdays, you do a little ping. You send out something. Congratulations, motivation, whatever. 17 touch points. Friday, you do a data share. Hey, guess what? You're doing so great. You're on track to reach your goal. And how do you know it? Because you're looking at the data. Saturday, send a little motivational email. 25 touch points throughout that month, composed to 8. And you do a bonus. So what you can do is one day a month, the second Tuesday of the month, bring in a friend, bring in an expert, bring in your nutrition friend. Have them talk about nutrition to your clients and do it for them. Expand your network to be able to find other ways that you can find clients. I talked about this, right? So you can have the different goals. So it might be steps one month, fiber intake, heart rate zone, meditation minutes, steps for charity, sleep hours. These are all things that you can track. Take 30 days and work with a client on this. They're the metrics. So it might be 5K a day, 25 grams of fiber, minutes in different zones. We've just laid out for you a very, very simple, but a very, very powerful 6-month personal training program. But what did I not say at any point? Face-to-face training, right? Let's look at this model. So let's assume that you're paying $50 for your clients. You see 20 sessions a week. You have 4 touch points perhaps. And from that client, you're getting $200. Every client, $50, see them 4 times, $200, right? So there's your revenue per week, revenue per month. I call it the physical hustle. How hard is it to be a personal trainer? Well, we all know you got to get up early, you got to be on. I call it a 7. Mental hustle, about a 4, right? You don't really have to think really hard to do that because you've been doing it for so long. Now let's change that. I used to call it the Spotify model of personal training. You have them pay a membership fee. So if it's $100, well, it's cheaper for them because they're paying $200 in the first place. But for the $100, you have all those touch points. You have more communication. You're teaching them. And so it would take you to make the same $48,000. And here are the numbers. So you need 40 members as opposed to 20. But then I also created this, and I call it the good, better, best pricing strategy. So right now as personal trainers, come work out with me. It's going to cost you $50. You've seen this before. I know, whenever you buy a service online, this is how they do it, right? And what I suggest is that 70% of your goal should be the better category. 10% good, 20% best. But then look what you're getting. Personal monthly workout, real data collection, weekly motivation, weekly inspiration. That's all included in the good. You want more? Join our Facebook group. You get monthly theme goals. You get Zoom training. Okay, now we're talking about some of that personal training that's coming into it. You get live chats. And the best program, you might say, if you want to meet face-to-face, we can do that. I'll meet you face-to-face, but it's going to cost you a little bit more, right? So change your pricing structures. This is a sheet that you can download. I have it available in the Tedvia link/yes, please. So you can get this, calling it the DDP personal training model. I announced it here today just for you, JT, because I want your people to work smarter, not harder. So let's close this up. Don't be afraid of technology. Health and fitness tech can lead to better client engagement. Stay in contact with them. Become a health hub rather than a health club. So here's what we talked about. Remember, you can't manage what you can't measure. Peter Drucker said that. There you go. You can find me on Twitter. There's my email address. You can find me on LinkedIn. I living in Ireland, I kissed a Blarney Stone, so that means I get to talk a lot, which I did. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a chance to if you took one piece of advice or learned one new piece of information from here, I did my job. But if you have any other questions, make sure you download the slide deck. You can download. I have those Excel spreadsheets for you. You can try the different model, but that the DDPT model, I think is really going to start happening.
Ted, that was sensational. I got a few things that perhaps might be talking points just to finish off for us.
Sure.
The first one, I think, one of your first slides, and you talked about disruption. I do think for many people in the fitness industry, disruption is the glass is half empty, not half full. Mm-hmm. So I loved how you position that people watching today need to see disruption, particularly technological disruption, as a positive.
It is. Look,
yeah.
If you think about JT, the science of exercise has not changed in 30, 40, 50 years, right? Here's what cardiovascular exercise, strength, you might change how you do it, but the science hasn't changed, right? You're not going to disrupt that part of fitness. You're going to disrupt how you train, how you implement that as a personal trainer. And you're right. It's a different mindset. A lot of what I talked about today was a different mindset, which means it's easy to do.
Yeah, I agree. Very much it's a mindset thing. Any gym owners that are watching today will be petrified to know that more people have fitness apps and gym memberships, so that'll scare them.
Well, it's a wake-up call, isn't it?
Right. Oh, absolutely.
You can if you're an owner of a gym, well, look, people have been participating in fitness outside of your gym. It's no secret. They've been doing it. So use that to your advantage.
100%. When you were talking about the habit forming, social motivation, and goal reinforcement, one of our partners for the Tech Summit is MyZone, and MyZone have a plethora of data to support what you said on social motivation. Like just randoms giving you a thumbs up on a workout that you don't even know drives you to that next level.
Mm-hmm. Well, also our buddy Dave Wright, when I use my MyZone, he's always telling me I got to get to their Hall of Fame. It's going to take me years to get there because he makes it so hard to do it. But absolutely, MyZone's been around for a while. Really, really great stuff. They kind of were ahead of their time, if you will. But now it's commonplace now.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I love the health hubs, not health clubs. And health hubs, not fitness centers, health hubs, not gyms. Love it. I think that's a great metaphor for us to move forward on. And I think the DDTPT is a fascinating business opportunity for so many people, whether they're in a club or whether they're working for themselves. I always say, I need someone to analyze my Google Analytics. I don't understand it all. I need someone to tell me, what does that mean and what do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
And when I have that, I can move forward with changes to my website or whatever the case may be. And your DDTPT is exactly that person. I'll analyze all your data and then tell you what you need to do and give you real-time feedback.
And the nice thing about that, JT, is you're charging a little bit less, but you can handle more people.
Yes.
You're not constrained by those, look, if you're a personal trainer, if you have 8 clients a day, you're hustling and you can't maintain that. So work smarter, not harder. Plan it out. You can sit down and do, I call it a data dump. You get all the information, boom, you're done. And you can create templates. It's easy. Trust me, it's easy. I'm creating some classes, and once those are ready, JT, I'll make sure that all of your viewers get a little discount for coming on and taking the class. But this is something that needs to be taught.
Please send that to us, because I'm sure we're going to get some people that are interested. So just again, it's tedv.com/yes please.
Correct.
So that's how you guys can get the notes. Dr. Ted, terrific, bloody awesome, as we would say in Australia. That was phenomenal, and what a great way to launch our 6-part webinar series for the Tech Summit. Thank you, sir.